On today's episode, we speak to Sudarshan, a native of Kolkata who made his way to some of the most prestigious institutions in the country.
SRCC seemed to be like a very good platform.
Worked at a leading consultancy firm and then jumped head-on to work at Cred under India's most celebrated startup entrepreneur, Kunal Shah,
Conversation with Kunal was insane.
before he finally joined Stable Money as their chief of staff. This is a stable story of hustle and hard work. This is the stable story of Sudarshan Tapariah.
I am a classic case of a hybrid person, a pan-India person if you were to put it that way. My native place is in Rajasthan. It's a very small town called Ratangarh in the Churu district on the western side. I was born and brought up in Calcutta, Bengal. Did entire schooling there. I was there until I was 18. Then I shifted to Delhi for studies. I think as a kid, I almost always really enjoyed going to school. I think my parents were relatively at peace because of that. Probably a big factor was because I would see my elder brother go to school. He is 4 years elder to me. And I would often go with my parents to drop him off at the bus stop. I really enjoyed playing. So it was a fixture that, you would come back from school, quickly have meal in whatever 15-20 minutes or so, head to the terrace because we didn't really have a lot of parks around there. Head to the terrace, play cricket for 2 hours, 3 hours straight till the time sun sets there. No more light, and then come back. My family's full of CAs. My father's a CA, my brother is a CA, and there would have been a very high probability that I too would have become a CA, which I'm not. But it was primarily driven by my brother's feedback. Don't go down this route as of now. You probably could explore something better. And Delhi at that point in time seemed to be a very good option. While at that point in time, obviously I didn't know what I exactly wanted to do further ahead in life, but SRCC seemed to be like a very good platform. When I was at home, I think I probably could fall within that spoiled kid category where I didn't really have to do any work at home. Here I am in the college hostel where my room is hardly of any size to accommodate 2 of us. You have your standard, the bathrooms and the washrooms in any college hostel. I'm sure anybody who stayed in a regular Delhi University college hostel would exactly know what I'm talking about. I was like, okay, if I'm going to be here for 3 years, I have to be comfortable with this. And I have to be I have to adapt to that because it was also a case of a lot of people around you. It was not just me. So when I saw that community of 50 odd first year students staying in the SRCC boys hostel at that point in time in Block B, it kind of, I think, made the transition a little more comfortable. And what, particularly for me, why that became really important is because it increased the degree to which I was able to adapt, notwithstanding wherever I was. I think this is something which, at least during our days, held very strongly for SRCC hostel, boys hostel to be more specific, was a lot of us got involved with the Students' Union. The second year, spent the entire year as leading the sponsorship wing. We raised a lot of money, a lot more money compared to what had happened until that year. The events went really well, boosted my confidence even further that this is something I can probably do even better. And third year was the vice president of the union. We did a few items which were relatively more unconventional, also caused a lot of media activity both inside as well as outside the college, and that has worked out really well because current Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he came to a college in an event called Shri Ram Memorial Oration, 6th of February 2013. I still remember that date. The entire process of inviting him and how ridiculous also in terms of whether somebody like him would even accept an invite from a college to come and speak. From that point in time to actually ensuring that he does come, arranging for every single item which had to be done in terms of our preparation from the security point of view, from that event organization point of view and so on, to finally concluding with ensuring that the event goes really well and the media side of the story is also taken care of well for us. It was a once in a lifetime experience at that point in time. I did not really intend to pursue a master's in economics. I was almost clear. I think very early during my college, I was very clear on that I don't intend to do that. One of the feedback which I had obviously received from my seniors was that, consulting provides you a very good foundation to start work. You get really good with respect to your analysis, with respect to how you present things, with storytelling and so on. So that way, I think it was a no-brainer. Something like this is a great opportunity to actually pick up. I think 5 years went really well, really nicely. Of course, it was a lot of work. And it was a lot of travel. Bain has this internal competition called Results Challenge, RC. And I was a part of the EMEA ring fence team in my first couple of years there. We presented a really, really solid case. We won the challenge. We won that particular event. I think that would probably be one of the good early highlights. I think I had to burst what I often call the consulting bubble, which a lot of people get into after they spend a good amount of time in a consulting world. Arvind offered that absolutely opposite opportunity compared to where Bain stood, because it's a classic industrial house where things will move in the manner and at the pace at which they're going to move. I was talking to one of my seniors at Bain that, I'm thinking of exploring something outside. What do you recommend? And my mentor at Arvind, and I'm again gracious, literally grateful to him that somebody like him was there. He was the first one to tell me that, have you thought about a startup kind of a role as well? I'm like, Sameer, I have absolutely no idea about this. I am not an engineer. I don't come from a technical background. I had practically zero B2C experience. Arvind again was like a classic B2B experience for me. Bain was a classic B2B experience for me. Like, how are you thinking about it? Add max, what will happen? You do not enjoy it as much, come back to something which is more comfortable, but probably this is the right time for you to also think about this, experiment at least a bit more. Conversation with Kunal was insane. In fact, I was telling this to him once, I don't think I've been grilled as much in any conversation as much as you had grilled me. It didn't feel like, he was trying to superimpose something that, this is exactly what it should be or what it shouldn't be. And he asked a few questions about which I had absolutely zero idea. And I'll give you one example. So we discussed about female labor force participation rate, for instance. His point of view was that, why don't you take a guess where India stands, maybe relative to, say, Pakistan and Bangladesh. And I had zero idea about it. I was like, I don't know. But if I were to just think about some fundamental factors, that could be here at play. Bangladesh has a lot of cottage industries. So I am making a guess that maybe Bangladesh could be better than India here. Pakistan, I would expect it to be slightly lower. It turned out the other way around. Bangladesh was the leading one. Pakistan is also better than us. And we were the third one. We spoke a bit about this. And then I told him one thing that, I'm going to go back and read up a bit about this because I find this really interesting. The trend seemed very counterintuitive to me at that point in time. I read up, I understood what was happening, understood why it was happening, and I dropped him a note after that. He decided to further extend the offer. The kind of culture that Cred has tried to promote at any and every point in time, I think that is something which is really, really good. Here at Stable Money, got connected by a few folks with Saurav. And I told Saurav that, let's meet probably in person. We initially planned a conversation for only about a couple of hours. 1 hour each. I think the conversation ended up going for about 3.5, 4 hours. What I really liked is, number one, the pedigree of both of them is really solid, goes again without saying. Number two, there is that element of connect, and I told Saurav in my second or third conversation with him that, बाकी मुझे नहीं पता कि अपने क्या होना है नहीं होना, how will things materialize, but आप लोगों से बात करके I really liked it. And when I think about the space, of course the space is again massive, lots of opportunity to do and crack this space really, really well. A lot of untapped potential / white space, if you were to put it in technical terms that way. So space looks interesting, founders are amazing. Whatever I've heard about the team, that again was really, really good. And in terms of the role that I was going to pick, that again looked very interesting. Milestone is we go public, we operate as a very, very solid, sustainable company. That is the milestone with which, at least as of now, milestone I would say, with which I would want to operate. Second, in terms of what I would want the team to demonstrate, is that I operate from a high degree of trust. That if I say, Nairika, this is one particular item, let's do XYZ here, you take up that particular task, I'm going to trust you to do the best piece there. In case you're facing any problem, I would again trust you to actually flag that to me that, this is one particular problem that we have, or maybe we missed this particular item earlier, why don't you think about this, so on and so forth. I would trust you, I would defer to your judgment for something like that. This is something which is extremely, very, very critical and very crucial for me as an individual, as well as as a manager, as a leader. I have to have that kind of trust in my team, and I would expect them to have the same as far as I'm concerned. We always have to work in that symbiotic relationship manner. Number one. Number two, accountability is again an item that I, over time have very strongly started to appreciate. And I think accountability, I would want to, explain very specifically what I mean by this. You may want to do a particular item, you're expecting to hit a particular result. It is okay if it doesn't pan out in the manner that, we may have initially wanted that to. But accountability becomes that you do not drop the ball. You take it to logical conclusion. You ensure that whatever was aligned on, whatever we had decided, that these are the input levels that we're going to crack, these are the items that we're going to work on, we do that.